Hey YouTube, we're going to do a walkthrough of the Cake Kalk OR, which stands for off-road. I've seen a bunch of stuff out there on the specs, but not that much stuff on what it means for you. And so I'm going to try to talk about what the bike is and how it rides and what it means for the mountain biker thinking about getting into moto and what it means for the moto guy thinking about getting into electric. Full disclosure, I am an investor in this company. I love electric motorcycles. I love the potential of electric motorcycles. I raced moto when I was very young. I got good enough to be a pro rider in Florida, but I was the guy that Bob Hanna was lapping. I was not the best pro by any means. And I've been a fanatical mountain biker from downhill to dirt jumper. If you're coming from biking or if you're coming from moto, I can see both perspectives, and I'm hoping to be able to explain to people coming from both perspectives what this feels like. Not just what the numbers are, but like how that translates to the ride. It makes on a dyno about 20 horsepower. The torque is about 30 foot-pounds of torque, so that would mean that it's very torquey, but not that much horsepower for a dirt bike. Top speed is 54 miles an hour. The range is about 3 hours or 50 miles. This weighs 140 pounds. A traditional dirt bike could be between 210 and 240. So big difference in weight. The only maintenance that I've done, we've lubed the chain. That is it. You don't think it's a big deal when you come from moto because you kind of love all that stuff, you know? The truth is you don't miss it. The other thing I had no idea that I wouldn't miss is the heat that comes off the bike. There's no heat that comes off the bike. When I'm done with the bike or I'm taking a rest, I just lay it on the ground. No oil leaks out, no gas leaks out. And then the quiet. So I don't know if you can hear it, but there's some gas bikes coming this way. I love the sound of a dirt bike, the brap. These don't make that same sound. They make enough sound and it winds up in a way that you get that same jolt of adrenaline. Like when you hear the thing start to whirl, there's something visceral about it. So you get that. But all the conversations that you stop to have, you don't stop. You just keep going and you're hooping and hollering. So we're gonna stop for a second because it's gonna get too noisy with the moto here. Some things to know about an electric. When this is on, the bike is live, which is weird versus a dirt bike, because when a dirt bike is on, you hear the engine. This thing is so dangerous. I tell people it's almost like a loaded gun. There's a reflex that most dirt bikers have, which is to just get on a bike and just blip the throttle. And if you do it, this thing shoots off in a wheelie. One thing very different about this bike versus a traditional dirt bike is it has no gears. So there's no shifter down by your foot. And this is not a clutch. This is actually the rear brake. This is the front brake. In the US, most mountain bikes have the rear brake on this side and the front brake on this side. If you're coming from mountain biking, you can get used to it, but you can just take these connectors and you could swap the brakes. So you could set it up like a mountain bike. If you're coming from moto, the fact that it doesn't have a clutch is gonna mean that you can't feather the clutch, you can't pop the clutch. So doing log overs and getting up on little ledges, it's pretty good, but it's different. And it's got a lot of torque, but it also has a curve built into the throttle. You've got to have a little bit of speed, and then you've got to lean back and snap it open to lift the front end. So slightly different technique, but something that you should know if you're coming from moto. It won't be the same. There is no clutch. This is your control panel. There are 3 power settings. 1, which you'd want to start with, 2, and 3, which is full power. All the settings have their place. I was with a friend who was riding it, really good rider, and he chose to leave it on 2. I've been riding it on 3 today. This is engine braking. If you come from moto, you know what engine braking is. It's when the engine alone, as you start to coast in gear, slows the bike down. This has 3 settings, and I'll explain them and what they would feel like to someone coming from moto. This is like clutch in, no engine braking. This is like 2-stroke engine braking, and this is like 4-stroke engine braking. If you're coming from a mountain bike, this is coasting, right? And there is no additional braking. If this is like a light squeeze of the levers, and this is just a heavier squeeze of the lever. The additional benefit of engine braking is it charges the battery when you're going downhill. I've done a couple mods to this that I want to talk about so that people don't say, hey, that doesn't come like that. It does not come with these wheels. A traditional wheel setup for moto is 21/18, and I just wanted to try that and see what it felt like. I wasn't sure I would like that. I thought it might lift it too high, so it's still smaller than an average dirt bike. I love the ergonomics of it with these wheels. I liked them with the other wheels as well, but I wanted to try something different. I kind of went cheap with the rubber. I put a Dunlop Geomax. The rear end is an 18-inch rim, and then this is a Shinko. I think they call it a 550. This tire's working really well out here. I don't know if I'd like it everywhere. I kind of want to try a more traditional knobby. It's quite a bit wider than stock, but it's too much. If this was redesigned and they knew it was going on a 140-pound motorcycle, this tire would be different. It would be lighter. It would make the bike handle better. It would be snappier. But those tires are going to come in the future. They don't exist now. So for now, I've got too much rubber on this thing. I wish I had less. The other thing that I did, because I'm not very tall, is I made this stem, brings the bars back. So just this piece, this bottom piece I had fabricated. And then I put on bars with a 3-inch rise. It gives it more of a traditional moto cockpit, which I'm used to. I also took the pegs and moved the pegs forward about 2 inches, and I moved them up 1/2 inch, just by tapping some new holes in the frame here. So the pegs were back here, probably about like this. I moved them up and forward here. Some tall riders actually buy kits to move their pegs back and down. This is the kind of stuff that's personal preference, but the cockpit now feels really familiar to me. So I'm super happy with these changes. This rides like a dirt bike. Some of the electrics, like the Surons, ride a little bit more like a mountain bike. So the question I get all the time is, you know, can it keep up with a KTM? The answer is absolutely yes. I've been keeping up with KTMs every time I go out with KTMs. Sometimes it passes KTMs. I'm sure there are KTMs that are going to pass this, but it actually isn't the bike, it's the rider. It's always the rider. It's always going to be the rider. But it's extremely capable. I think the bikes in capable hands are at least as quick. They might be quicker, and they might be quicker in less capable hands, which is sort of the most exciting thing. I haven't been riding moto for 10 years. The electrics got me back into it, and I've been able to hang with all my friends that have been riding the whole time. To me, that says that maybe the bike has a little bit of advantage. Certainly the weight is less to fight. In all kinds of racing, lighter is always proven to be an advantage. So this is lighter, it's less powerful, but it's extremely torquey. You put that together and you think, wow, super capable off-road machine, not intimidating, easy to handle, not having to mess with shifting, and then brakes where the mountain bike brakes are. The pros turn better left than they turn right because the brake is on the right side and they can't brake as deep into the corner if they're turning right. And this bike, you can turn equally well both directions. Right there, that's a giant advantage. This weekend has been very different for one reason, and that is every single gas-powered motorcyclist that I've run into is excited about electrics for the first time. You can tell that it's on the agenda. They talk about it's coming. The hate is gone. The curiosity is there. Is it perfect for every situation? No. If you're gonna try to ride Baja, this would be a very poor choice. But if you're gonna do rides that are less than 3 hours and you're gonna be close enough to the truck that you can loop from a truck or something, it's an awesome option. And I think that in 3 years, that parking lot is gonna look completely different. And there's gonna be a lot less brap and a lot more frap. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you'd like to see more, hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you next time on Joy of Bike.